Ma'am, my screen is visible, ma'am.
Yeah, it is visible.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm Suhas. I'm from 3 years LLB, first year. My topic is what is regarding POSCO Act and its latest update. Let's see what is POSCO. It's a POSCO Act is an important step towards creating a safer environment for children of our country. It was adopted to protect children from sexual offences like acts of sexual harassment and assault, along with child pornography. This act asks for setting of special courts that are better than equipped to deal with such offences in more effective manner. This act has been amendment in the year 2019 to make it better provisions that will help to accommodate swift justice in the form of enhancement punishments for several offences. This has been undertaken with the objective of deterring the perpetrators and hence ensuring the safety of a secure and dignified childhood. Some important facts of POSCO that acts have been discussed below. POSCO full form is Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act. It was initiated in the year 2019. An act to protect the children from offences of sexual assault, sexual harassment, and pornography, and to provide for the establishment of special courts for trial of such offences and for matters connected therewith or incidental thereto. The POSCO Act defines a child as any person below the age of protection under POSCO Act is under 18 years. The minimum punishment under POSCO Act 2012 is 10 years. Let's see what are the updates of POSCO Act. There has been a split verdict on an issue recently brought up in the Supreme Court of India. The issue is to decide if a section 152 of CRPC shall pertain to the inspection of a crime under 23 of POSCO Act of 2012. Two judge bench has given a split ruling on the grounds mentioned below. According to Section 155 subclause 2 of CRPC, a police officer is not authorized to hold an investigation into a non-cognizable offence. If there is to be done, he or she would require an order from a magistrate. That Section 23 of POSCO Act defines disclosure of a victim's identity, that of sexual abuse, to be an offence. The judges are in fix because one of them feels that disclosure of this victim identity will be a fundamental breach of the right of child extend a right to not to be embarrassed. Importance of POSCO Act 2012 has one of the biggest population of children under 18 years of age. The estimated number found to be 472 million in the last census that happened in 2011. The extension of protection is naturally vulnerable population is of primary importance is working in our country. The protection of children is one of the guarantees that state must abide if Article 21 is considered carefully. India is also a signatory of the UN Convention of the Child. Hence, special laws need to be put effect to safeguard children's interest and their innocent childhood in the best possible way. The Constitution before POSCO Act came into effect was grossly inadequate to deal with sexual offences with children. The only act which mentioned the specific part of child abuse was the Goa Children's Act 2003. All sexual offences and misdoings against children were processed under these sections of IPC. The IPC 1860 of the 377 natural offences and IPC of 1860 section 375 deals with the rape. IPC of 1860 354 outraging the modesty of a woman. These are the lack of laws that especially cater to the best interest of children, as it approaches has its fair share of drawbacks. It has several loopholes that prevented the proper and effective care of to protect the children, like IPC 375 does not protect the male victims from sexual offences involving penetration. The word modesty is vaguely ambiguous in terms of definition in Constitution. Hence, its violation carries little weight in terms of penalty, as it does not qualify to be a compoundable offences. It doesn't cover under modesty of a male child. IPC 377 section, which has annulled in the landmark judgment in 2018, that doesn't define unnatural offences. It did not necessarily criminalize the act on children, but was rather limited to sexual act of attacker. This dispensaries and sufficient measures were the reason enough for wanting reform that was driven by its objective to protect children from such offences. Let's see what is the need for POSCO Act of 2012. Protection of children from sexual offences Act 2012. POSCO Act is a special enactment which provides punishment for penetrative touch or non-touch based sexual offences against the children. That also mandates the establishment of special courts and procedures for trials and offences involving the children of state was enacted to protect the children from offending arises out of sexual assault, sexual harassment, or pornography, and provides for an establishment of special courts for trials for such offences and for matters connected therewith or incidental or thereto. The act is applicable to all of India. These are just an explanation regarding the POSCO Act. Let's see the salient features of POSCO Act 2012. The POSCO Act 2012 has some distinct features which make it important and relevant that are discussed below. The Act defines children as any individual aged below 18 years of age. The problem of gender exclusion in the previous Act was ignored here altogether as it is a gender neutral in its stances. There are multiple forms of the act of sexual abuse defined under this act that are not just a limit to pornography, harassment, or penetrative or non-penetrative offences. These acts would be considered as aggravated as if child is mentally ill or the perpetrator comes for a position of authority and or to trust like family member, doctor, teacher, etc. The prevention of re-victimization of the children within the judicial system is utmost importance as this act allows policemen to act under the role of children protector throughout the investigation. The process of investigation is to be made as a child friendly as a possible and justice to be served promptly within a year front of reporting of the incident. The setting up of a special court has been done under this act, which are exclusively dealing with such offences and sensitivity they need. The central government is given the authority to make rules under the 45 section of the POSCO Act. The State Commission for the Protection of Children, that is SCPCRs, and the National Commission for Protection of Children Rights, NCPCR, have given the authority to monitor the implementation of the Act provisions. Both authorities are statutory in nature. The POSCO Acts will override instance of inconsistencies which are will other with other provisions according to the section 42A. The act makes the reporting of sexual offences are mandatory. Misuse of these laws with the purpose of defamation of the person is punishable. Let's see the POSCO principles, general principles. There are 12 main general principles defined under the POSCO Act 2012. These are followed by everyone involved: the state, government, child welfare committees, the special court, and the police alike. These are the 12 principles which are listed below. The best interest of a child. The most significant part of the process is the development of the child is in a holistic manner. The right to life and survival. Any kind of physiological or physical, emotional, or and mental harm should be kept away from the child is the best manner of feasible. Right to protect from discrimination. The passage of justice should not be marked by any discrimination on any grounds. It should be transparent. Fourth one, the right to be treated with dignity and compassion. Victims are to be treated with a great care and sensitivity throughout the process. Fifth one, the right to be informed. The legal proceedings should be clearly explained to the victims and witness. Sixth one is right to special preventive measures. The likeliness of funds abused children to be abused again is high, and since prevention is better than a cure, this act operated on the preventive measures seriously. Seventh deals with right to effective assistance. The process of legal proceedings can be harrowing for an individual in more than a way, which is why a lot of crimes go unreported because of mental and financial cost is often too high. Therefore, the Act provides for legal, health counsel, and physiological and financial aspects. Right to be heard and express views are concerned. A child has the right to be heard from parts that affected him or her. Nine with the right to be protected from hardship during the justice process. There is a very real secondary victimization that occurs when a child is involved in the process of legal cases. This is to be minimized. 10th deals with right to privacy. The cases and can get very public, which is why it is necessary that the identity and the privacy of the children are protected at all times of the trial, pre and post trial. Right to compensation, relief and rehabilitation of the children or a child must be compensated for. 12, last one is right to safety. The protection of child is vital to be during the trial and after it. Issues relating to sexual abuse. There are the several issues that are related to sexual abuse which are discussed below. Those are multiple dimensional, multi-layered. The sexual abuse it is itself is a layered issue. Like child sexual abuse becomes an even more layered issue as it is detrimental impact on a child. It is more than one way as it affects their mental health, physical well-being, and behavior among them. Digital participation. That propagation of child abuse is in as such is increased in many folds with the progress that is availability of technology and internet. Child pornography, online harassment, or bullying are the new problems that have surfaced is in today's generation. As ineffective implementation, the POSCO Act has come into immediate effect 2012, but the implementation has staggered and thus failed to objective. These were which was not protected children from multiple forms of sexual abuse. The reason have been listed below. Conviction rate. The first one is the conviction rate. The conviction rate is low under the POSCO Act. About 30% of the total reported cases to get to stage for conviction. Nearly 90% of cases are still pending or still under trial. Delay. Second one is the delay of judicial action. That mentions that all cases to be resolved within a year of a crime being reported. A prolific cases like Kuha rape case, which went on 16 months to be 16 months before judgment was served. Hostility towards a child. That law speculate one of only on the biological age, not on the mental age. Hence, the multiple challenges that are age dependent. POSCO related initiatives are multiple POSCO related initiatives that have been undertaken by the government that are discussed below. First one is Child Abuse Prevention Investigation Unit, an online sexual abuse and sexual and exploitation, that is OCSAE, has been set up by the Central Bureau of CBI territorial jurisdiction all over the country. Next, second one is Judicial Justice Act or Care of Protection Act 2000. The Juvenile Justice, the Care and Protection of Children Amendment Bill 2021 was recently passed in the Lok Sabha and sought to be reinforced to streamline the government's efforts to provide a better aid for the adoption and subsequent of care of children. The bill is amendment to the Juvenile Justice, that is Care and Protection Act of Children Act 2015. Third one is Beti Bachao Beti Padhao. Beti Bachao Beti Padhao is a campaign launched by Government of India. It's primarily target to the states of Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Bihar, Punjab, and Delhi to address the declining of child sex ratio, that is CCR, which is comes under uh, this one census. It's also aimed to work on the issues related to women's empowerment and emancipation. Fourth one is Child Labor Prohibition Act 2016. This is an amendment of the Act 1986. The government shall provide harasser sentence and punishment for those in violation of this act. It bars the employment of teens and hazardous work condition. Fifth one is Child Marriage Prohibition Act 2006. The Child Marriage Restraint of Act 1929 has implemented under British rule, and that it replaces it. It defines that what a child is in the eyes of a law. An individual under 21 years of age and a female under the age of 18 shall be called as minors. A marriage between minors shall be null and void. If either the parties demands it to be so, the marriage shall be void. If the consent has been acquired through deceit or enticement or a fraud from the guardians, or it is the primary purpose of the marriage, ways to abuse a child from human trafficking. Let's see the POSCO related constitutional provisions. The Constitution has several provisions that guarantees a safeguarding of every child's childhood and subsequently the youth. The Constitution of India promises every child the right of lead to lead a life of dignity and the right to privacy under the Article 21, the right to equality under Article 14, the right to against discrimination under Article 15, and the right to exploitation under Article 23 and 24. It is an elementary education for children from age 6 to 14, a fundamental right under 21A and Article 39F under the DPSP of Directive Principle of State Policy obligates the state government to make an certain and equal opportunities and facilities that are provided to children to enjoy their childhood and youth free from all exploitation. These are the some sections which is mentioned under POSCO, that offences, the name of the offences and punishment. Like Section 4 of the POSCO Act 2012 deals with sexual assault that is penetrative in nature on a child below 16 years of age. For this offense, the punishment will be minimum of 20 years of imprisonment, may be extended up to imprisonment for the natural life, or plus fine will be included. As this all, the offences may vary. In that way, the punishment also varies. In the landmark judgment of POSCO 2012 is first one is Jarnail Singh versus State of Haryana. That appellant was accused of kidnapping and raping the daughter of Savitri Devi while she was sleeping. The Supreme Court of India in this case observed that the procedure which is used to determine the age of a child who conflicts with the law as per the juvenile justice, the care of protection of children's rules 2007 can be followed in the cases falling under the POSCO Act 2012 as well. Applying this rule, the court convicted the appellant, Jarnail Singh. Second, it is from our Karnataka, state of Karnataka versus Shivana in the year 2014. The POSCO Act 2012 does not require regarding every statement under the section 164 of CRPC. The statement victims under section 354, 354A and some sections 354D, 376 subclass 1, 376 subclass 2, 376A, 376B, and 376C, 376D, 376E, or 501 of the IPC should be recorded by a judicial magistrate according to the section of 164 from 5 to A. The A of Criminal Amendment Act 2013, the statement should be recorded as soon as the commission is brought up to the knowledge of the police. It also held that victim must be presented before the judicial magistrate, preferably to a lady magistrate within the 24 hours of the rape, to record the statement under the section of 164 5A of CRPC. Next one is the third one, the Attorney General for India versus Satish and others, year 2021. In this case, Satish Ragde versus the state of Maharashtra, the Bombay High Court Nagpur bench ruled that grabbing a child breast without making a skin-to-skin contact constituted to molestation under the POSCO Act 2021. The judgment by Justice Pushpa Kandiwala received an immense hatred that Attorney General of India, the National Commission for Women's, and the state of Maharashtra filed appeals against this High Court decision, which was heard by the bench consisting of Justice Uday Umesh Lalit, S. Ravindra Bhatt, and Bela M. Trivedi. In the present case, Attorney General of India versus Satish and other 2021. Setting aside the Bombay High Court judgment, the Supreme Court observed that this matter at a hand would be appropriate for ensuring the mischievous rule of statutory interpretation. It emphasizes the court must be constantly interpreted that law that to curb harm and promote remedy. Fourth one is Niput Saxena versus Union of India, year 2019. When the violation is committed under the section 23 of POSCO Act, the punisher or the owner of the media, studio, or photography facility issue held jointly and severally accountability for his employees' act or omission, has observed that Supreme Court in this case, the apex court released its guidelines about the provisions which are provided under no one. First one is that no one may broadcast the victim's name in print or electrical or social media or even in the distant way, divulge of any details that may lead to victim's identification among the public. Second one, in case where the victim is deceased or mentally ill, the victim's name is or identity should not be revealed, even if the consent of the next of a kin, unless the circumstances justifying the disclosure of persist, which should be decided by the competent authority. The competent authority in the case was the session judge. Third one, FIRs for the offense under the 376, 376A to E of the IPC, as well as a violation of POSCO, are not to be made public. If a victim files an appeal under the 372 section of CRPC, the victim is not to be needed to be reveal his or his identity, and the appeals should be handed as per law. All paper in which victim's identity is exposed must be kept under a sealed covers as much as possible. These documents should not be replaced with the similar documents in which the victim's name will be deleted from all the records may be scrutinized in the public domain. All authorities to whom the victim's name is provided by the investigation agency of the court likely obligated to with the victim's name and identity secret to not to reveal any way of expect in the report, which must be delivered in the by the to the investigation agency to the court in a sealed envelope. An application by the next kin of authorized or the disclosure of the identity of a dead victim or a victim of unsound mind under the section 28A to surplus C of IPC should made only to the session judge concerned with until the government acts under the section 12 to 28A, 1 surplus C and lays down and criteria as per direction. Eighth one, in the case of juvenile victims under the POSCO Act 2012, the special court can only permit their identity to be revealed if the child's it is under for the child's benefit. Ninth one, all states and union territories are requested to set up at least one stop center in which every district within the 1 year of the present case judgment. The fifth one is Libnus versus State of Maharashtra year 2021. In this case, the primary issue dealt with by High Court was whether holding hands of a child taking pregnancy in front of her would fall with the definition of sexual assault under Section 7 of POSCO Act. The Nagpur bench adjudged that holding a minor's hand and unopening a zip of pants will not come under the purview of a sexual offense under the POSCO Act 2012, would rather to be considered sexual harassment. Appellant was convicted for aggravated sexual assault under the Section 1012 of POSCO Act with the other provisions of IPC. Therefore, the decision turned out to be a controversial one, unlike the skin-to-skin judgment. Next is the what are the loopholes of POSCO Act 2012. Unlike rape victims under the POSCO Act can be only a child irrespective of gender, that may be a boy or a girl. However, the accused can only be a male, and females are immune from the being prosecuted as accused under the POSCO Act for some unknown reasons. Finally, the conclusion is the sexual offences scars a child's psyche, resulting in cognitive impairment or a mental agony to the child that may lead to depression. Undoubtedly, the POSCO Act encapsulates these provisions for protecting the children from sexual assault and child pornography. After the amendment in the year 2019, the punishment for sexual offences against the children has become stringent. Still, India has to make a long way journey to curb all the sexual offences against the children.